All right. Wow. Bombshell of a rumor that I heard today. Someone messaged me in my inbox. And again, I stress this is a rumor. So I don't know if this is true or not, but I want to talk about it, man. I want to talk about it because, the empirical data suggests that this rumor could possibly be true. All right. So someone that I trust messaged me this morning. And again, this is just a rumor, but it could be true. Now, let me read you what I got in my inbox this morning here. Um, Rumor that Hearn sent Joshua in there with concussion sustained in sparring in the buildup. Too much money involved to pull the plug. Joshua had swelling under his eye on Monday at his media day and was asked about the swelling. Joshua played it down, saying sparring lions in camp. Suggests there's something in it. Joshua's dad was going crazy at Hearn after the fight, and this could be the reason why. So, again, a lot of people said Joshua did not look himself in that fight going into the ring. Physically, he just looked like psychologically and mentally something wasn't there. He had like a glazed look on his eyes. Okay, had a glazed look on his eyes, and he got hit one time, and again, it was on the sweet spot. It was on the temple, but he got hit one time, and that was it for him. He could never recover. Now he was hit in the Klitschko fight, and he was able to recover, but for whatever reason in this fight, he wasn't able to recover. Now, again, I have to put this out there with all due respect to Andy Ruiz. Does Andy Ruiz hit as hard as Vladimir Klitschko? You have to ask yourself that. Does Andrew Ruiz hit as hard as Alexander Povetkin, who also hurt Joshua, and Joshua was able to recover in that fight? So you have to ask yourself, does this rumor have legs? Does this rumor have legs? And you have to ask yourself, was this the reason Joshua's dad went in on Eddie Hearn yesterday? Not yesterday, but Saturday night after the fight. Did the whole camp know that Joshua got hurt in sparring, possibly a concussion, and his eye did have a bruise up underneath it, so he could have had some tough sparring sessions in there. And we know sometimes that these sparring sessions are tougher than the fights. So a lot of times when you hear fighters talk about all the miles they have on them, they even say that it's not just the fights. It's really the training and the sparring that wears us down and takes years off our career. And again, I don't want to take anything away from Andy Ruiz. I mean, he was a late replacement. Anthony Joshua took the fight. He didn't pull out of the fight. But did his family possibly want him to pull out of this fight? Specifically, his father. Did his father suggest to him that maybe he should pull out of this fight? Because of the possible injuries or alleged injuries that he could have suffered in preparation for this fight. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but I got a message, and I'm kind of trying to put the pieces together, and it does make sense that maybe he did suffer some damage in sparring leading up to this fight. I don't know if it was a concussion, but maybe it did affect him, and maybe he did not go into this fight 100%. And again, I hate making excuses, and I hate taking anything away from Andy Ruiz. But let's face it, when you look at Joshua's face and you look at his body language during that ring walk, and then you looked at him during the fight, something looked off. Everybody was mentioning it. You can go back and look at the live cast that Eric and I did, and even Eric's father, who was watching the fight, said, there's something wrong with him. There's something wrong with him. So again, I'm not trying to push this off as being factual. I'm not saying that this is 100% truth. I am saying it is a rumor, and I am saying that someone messaged me this, and I trust this person that messaged me this. And I'm not saying that they can't be wrong, but it kind of makes sense to me. It kind of makes sense to me. So, I don't know what you guys think, but I am going to go one further, and I am going to say this. If Joshua did suffer some damage in sparring, possibly a concussion, okay? If he did, okay? If he did suffer a concussion and Eddie Hearn knew about it and Joshua's team knew about it and they talked about it, and then at the end of the day, Hearn did urge him to take the fight and not pull out of the fight because of the money that was involved in the event. And if Hearn knew about it, and I'm just saying this is allegedly now, if Hearn did know about it and he sent Anthony Joshua out there knowing that he was damaged, then you have to ask yourself, does Eddie Hearn really care about Anthony Joshua knowingly sending a damaged fighter out there? And then if you guys defend him, if there's any shred of truth to this rumor, and Hearn knew about Joshua being injured, if it's true, and he still sent him out there, if you guys defend him, if you Hearn defenders and protectors defend him, then I don't know what else to say to you guys. You guys have no soul if that's the case, because I'm always for the fighter. I've said this time and time again, and I sound like a broken record. I'm always on the fighter's side. And this is why I say that these promoters, a lot of them don't give two shits about the fighters. So when you guys defend the promoters and start shitting on the fighters, this is why I get pissed off. This is what fucking aggravates me about you guys defending promoters, knowing the history of promoters and how they've treated fighters over the years. Okay? You guys want to defend promoters. So once again, I repeat, if there's any truth to this rumor, if there's one shred of evidence that this rumor is true, then I have lost all respect for Eddie Hearn. But again, then you could say, well, Joshua is his own man. He still could have pulled out of the fight. But if you're a promoter and you're a manager and you're invested in Anthony Joshua, you got to look at the long game here. And better safe than sorry. And if they knew he was injured and they still sent him out there, then they're really some horrible people. They're really some horrible people. And that's probably, again, we have to put it together. Why else would Anthony Joshua's father start yelling at Eddie Hearn like that? Why else would he do that? What would be the reasoning for that? So this rumor to me is a rumor. It has absolutely not 1% fact to it. And I can't prove it factually. But if I put the pieces together and I look at the empirical data, I look at the circumstantial evidence here, because again, circumstantial evidence counts sometimes in court when there is no actual evidence. And AJ just did not look, he looked like something was wrong during the ring walk, looked like something was wrong. When he entered the ring, he was holding onto the ropes, trying to hold himself up. Even before the first bell even rang, he didn't look right to me. Okay? And then he's in his corner saying to Rob McCracken, why do I feel like this? What's wrong? What's wrong with me? Why am I feeling like this? So something physically was wrong with Anthony Joshua that night. I have no doubt in my mind that something was physically wrong with Anthony Joshua that night. Could it have been a concussion? Maybe. Could Eddie Hearn have possibly known about this and tried to cover it up because there was too much money on the table for Joshua to pull out of this fight? Possibly. We'll find out as more information comes in, and maybe more people will talk about it, and maybe eventually things do come out later on in the camp. We hear fighters say, well, this was going on in camp, that was going on in camp. I suffered because a lot of times these guys do not go into the ring 100%. We already know that. A lot of stuff happens in training camp. Okay, but my thing is this. You know, you have visible like there's a couple scars on his face. I thought Anthony Joshua, like a couple bumps and bruises, and even go back and look on fight night. You could see that they actually put some makeup on that cut. Not that cut, but that bruise, that mark under his eye, to try to make it not look as obvious. Go back and look. They put some makeup on that. So they were trying to cover up that injury. So for that injury to still be there the whole week, from Monday all the way to fight night, tells me that that was a pretty severe blow that he must have caught to the face to cause that bruise and have that long-lasting effect still there come fight night. Okay? So, I don't know, man. I don't know. Something's fishy here. Something's not right. And like I said, if there's any shred of truth to this, then Eddie Hearn's really going to have to be called into question here. And I'm sure that Anthony Joshua's father may come out and shed some more light on this story. Alexander Wilson says, "Thank you for the super chat. That's a great question. Thank you for the super chat. How did he pass the commission's physical before the fight if he had a concussion?" Well, the commission's basically checking your vitals, taking your blood pressure. They put like a light in your eye to see if your eye, if your eyes are clear. Check your pulse. So unless you tell a doctor that you have symptoms like you're throwing up, you're dizzy, you have a headache, then a doctor's not going to look for something that's not there, that he doesn't believe is there, if he doesn't have any evidence of knowing that's there. So I don't think there's any way of really, you can't just look at someone and see if they have a concussion unless you do actual tests for a concussion. So they don't do CAT scans on fighters' heads before the fight. Like if you don't tell somebody, if you go to a doctor and you don't tell a doctor that your knee's hurting you, then obviously they're not gonna do an X-ray on your knee, or they're not gonna do an MRI on your knee, and there's gonna be no way of knowing that you have an injury on your knee. So that is an excellent question. But if they're covering up that he has a concussion, the commission's not going to go out of their way looking for a concussion if he's not complaining of headaches and his eyes don't look, his pupils don't look dilated. So, you can have these guys in football and combat sports get concussions all the time, and they still go out there and play. So that's a good question. But like I said, if the doctor is not actually looking for it, then he's not going to find it. The light in the eyes is the concussion test. Possibly. But again, if he suffered a concussion at an earlier time in the camp, and as time goes on, some of those symptoms are going to subside. And they may not be as evident, but the residual effect of the damage that was taken a couple weeks before or 2 weeks before, or whatever the case may be, could still be there. So I'm not arguing against what you're saying, Alexander Wilson. My thing is this. I don't know when he suffered it, but he could have suffered it maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and as time went on, maybe his, some of the symptoms have subsided, but the internal damage is still there. The residual effect is still there. Thank you so much for the super chat, Emmanuel Moreno. So here's the bigger question. If he did suffer a concussion, then the probability of suffering another concussion is very high. They say once you get one concussion, it's very easy to get a concussion again. And that, they say that about football players all the time. So my big question is, Yeah, but football players do recover from concussions. But how many times have you heard football players say that, I've suffered multiple concussions over my career? Like I just said, once you suffer one concussion, the probability and the susceptibility that you may suffer another one is very high. That's the thing. That's the thing. So you gotta ask yourself this: will this have a residual effect on Anthony Joshua? Is he damaged moving forward? Because it's just like Gerald McCullen. Gerald McCullen, we all know what happened with him against Nigel Benn. But what a lot of people don't know was after that second Julian Jackson fight, when he went back to the locker room, he was complaining about headaches. He said his head was bothering him. Okay. And right then and there, we don't know Gerald McCullen ended up the way he did because of the injuries that he suffered against Gerald McCullen, or if that was just a residual effect and a buildup of all of the fights and sparring sessions he's had over his career. So Gerald McCullen could have very well have suffered some concussions in his career over the years, but still fought on. And then it all caught up with him that night that he got in the ring with Nigel Benn. So will Anthony Joshua ever be the same after this fight? It's a legitimate question. It really is a legitimate question. Will he ever be the same after this fight if he did suffer a concussion? Because once Roy Jones got knocked out by Antonio Tarver, he was never the same after that. Some fighters come back, some fighters don't. It depends. It depends on the damage they suffer. Manny Pacquiao got hit right on the chin. Got hit right on the chin. Okay? And he didn't get hit on the top of the head or anything like that. So shout out Alexander Wilson for the super chat again. So New York State Athletic Commission says they do MRIs on boxers on their website. So they're doing an MRI, but why would you do an MRI on the brain? An MRI on the brain is not going to be able to detect a concussion. An MRI is different from a CAT scan. I never really heard too many people get MRIs on their skulls. I heard them get CAT scans on their skulls, but MRIs are usually for joints and stuff. But again, I'm not saying that this is true. I'm not arguing that this is 100% true, but I think it's something that should be listened to and maybe be investigated and maybe be looked at as maybe being possibly true. This could possibly be true. So we have to at least consider that this could be true. I'm not saying it is, but I suspect, and this is just my opinion, I suspect strongly that this may be true. That's just my opinion. Yeah, but Eric Turner says, I think the American pressure killed AJ. That's why he looked uncomfortable. I don't know about that, bro. I don't know about that because he fought in front of 90,000 people against Vladimir Klitschko in a much more pressure-filled event, in my opinion, I would think. Kyle Frampton said AJ had a cold 10 days before the fight when he did a sit-down interview with him. Okay, well, that could be true too. I don't know. But you have to ask yourself, would a cold have made him? We've seen other fighters fight with colds. Would a cold have been that debilitating to him? That's what you have to understand. Then you have to ask yourself this too. He's starting to react differently to getting to punches now. As time goes on, his durability is starting to waver a little bit. So there could be some residual effect of all the damage he's taken in his career. Now you can say to yourself, well, he hasn't really gotten hit a lot, but the times he has gotten hit, he's gotten rocked. He got rocked by Povetkin pretty good. He got rocked by Klitschko pretty good. He got rocked by Dillian White pretty good. So there could be some residual damage to Anthony Joshua, and and not only that, add the hard. He admittedly said that he had some hard sparring in this camp. So, at the very least, there's got to, we could suspect that there is some slippage there if he's struggling in camp with his sparring partners. That's the thing. You have to take all these things into consideration. He may not be the same after this. He very well might have finally hit the wall here, and some of those fights, some of those tough fights that he's been in, some of those tough sparring sessions that he's been in, may have finally caught up with him. It all may have finally caught up with him. So, but the big thing here is if Eddie Hearn knew that something was physically wrong with Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua's dad or people in his family or people on his team were suggesting that maybe he should pull out of the fight, Eddie Hearn talked him in and urged him to not pull out of the fight because of the money, then we have to call into question Eddie Hearn. Okay? You guys have to ask yourself, excuse me, you guys have to ask yourself, did Eddie Hearn do the ethical thing here by urging Joshua to continue to stay into this fight and not pull out of it if he knew that he was injured? That's the thing. So I'm gonna make another video on another topic here about the rematch. So I want to talk about the rematch. I don't want to talk about it now because there's a lot, that could be another video in itself, and it'd be another great topic to talk about. And I don't want to merge the two topics together. But, and again, this sounds like I'm trying to make excuses. It sounds like I'm trying to take something away from Andy Ruiz, which I'm not trying to do. Andy Ruiz prepared for a fighter that he thought was at his best. So you can't take anything away from Andy Ruiz. So even if someone knew that Joshua was not 100% going into the fight, a lot of people would probably still favor him over Andy Ruiz regardless. Just like Sergio Martinez, everyone knew his knees were fucked up going into that Cotto fight. And I told everyone his knees are shot. He's not going to win that fight. And he was a 3-1 favorite over Miguel Cotto. And everybody still picked him. Still picked Sergio Martinez, knowing that he had his knees were damaged. So even if everybody knew that Joshua wasn't 100%, would it be safe to say that a lot of people still would have picked him over Ruiz? He was a 20-1 favorite. 21 favorite. Yeah, I have hangouts, Doc, Raphael. I mean, you can send me a link anytime, and anytime you want to do a show, I'd be down to do a collaboration with you. No problem. Yeah, Parker seemed to handle Ruiz's hand speed. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just curious to see, if more information comes out about this. If I'm wondering if it is a cold, maybe it's not a concussion, maybe it was just a cold. But again, would a cold have made him look like this? Because what came into question here was the punch resistance. And if you've suffered enough concussions, once you get hit in the head, after suffering a lot of concussions, you're not able to take the damage as well as you did before you suffered those concussions. So, I don't know, man. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what guys want to leave some comments. People watching this video on the archive. But I think it's something that we really have to think about here, and maybe something that we have to consider that it could possibly be true, that something was wrong with AJ physically leading into this fight. maybe he did suffer some damage in sparring, like the rumors have suggested. And I'm sorry. I hate to do this, come out with something like this because it's very easy to say that this is an excuse, that it's taking away from Andy Ruiz Jr. But if it's true, it's true. We have to deal with the truth. And this is definitely not. I mean, I'm happy for Andy Ruiz. I thought that was a great performance from him. I thought he still fought a wonderful fight. Don't get me wrong. But if this is true, then it's something we have to seriously look at. And we have to hope that, Anthony Joshua and his team do what's best for him in his career, knowing that maybe he may not be the same and he may not be 100% moving forward in his boxing career. Because if he continues to fight, knowing that he has neurological damage, and people around him allow him to continue to fight, knowing that he has some type of neurological damage, then that's a horrible thing. So if anyone's going to bet on Anthony Joshua moving forward, you have to really take a serious look at how he looked in this Andy Ruiz fight. And if you want to dig deeper into it and not just say that it was pressure, not just say that he took him lightly, not just say that, the moment caught up with him, or he wasn't dialed in, or he wasn't focused, or he didn't want to deal with the pressure of being heavyweight champion anymore. But also another thing you could also look at is maybe he's damaged physically, neurologically, and maybe it all caught up with him that one night. And like I said, every fighter has that one fight that after it happens, they're never the same. Ask Roy Jones. Ask Roy Jones about that. He'll tell you after that fight with Antonio Tarver, he was never the same. So that's about all I got for you right now, guys. I'm gonna be doing some more videos about this fight. Probably I may do another video about the rematch, whether or not it happens or not, or we'll talk about that in another video. Save that for another video. But that's all I got for you right now, guys. Until next time, Beaver's out. Talk to y'all soon. And thank you guys for the support in the channel. Check out megafitmeals.com. Buy the t-shirt, Ringside Reporter t-shirt, and continue to support the channel. All right, guys. Beaver's out. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.